there's an anecdote that podcasting is like getting a tattoo. You do one and you say it's going to be your only one, but I think we all know deep down that that's not true. See, once you catch the podcasting bug, you start to think of lots of ideas for podcasts you can have. And who can blame you? Podcasting is a great platform, a great medium, a great way to convey your message. So today we're going to talk about use cases for why you might have multiple podcasts and how you can use RSS.com to easily and affordably set up a podcast network. Hey everybody, my name's Joe Casabona. I'm the evangelist here at RSS.com, and I am one of the many podcasters who has many podcasts. I launched my first show back in 2012, and to be honest, it wasn't very good. But I persevered. I caught the bug, and so I launched my next show, and then my next show. And well, today I am the host of 4 podcasts. And that's if you don't count the audio from my live streams, which also gets its own podcast feed. So why would you want to host multiple podcasts? I know some of you are thinking, hey, podcasting is a lot of work. And even if I'm using great tools to streamline my processes and save time and create good podcast systems, it still feels like a lot, and launching another show might be biting off more than you can chew. So let's take a look at some reasons why you might want multiple podcasts. First of all, you might have multiple shows under one brand. So my brand is the Streamlined Solopreneur, my personal coaching brand. And I have multiple shows for that. I have the flagship show, the Streamlined Solopreneur, which talks to busy solopreneur parents. But I also have a podcast just for solopreneur podcasters called the Streamlined Podcaster. In one show, I talk about just improving your processes and systems throughout your business. And in the other, I am talking specifically to solopreneurs who have podcasts who feel like they spend too much time on their podcasts. You might have a new podcast on a different topic. So I also host a show that's focused locally to my area called Start Local. It is for people who live in my county. That show is not going to fit under the umbrella of the Streamlined brand. You might have a show for different audiences. So this could be if you have a company and you have a podcast for internal communications, right? That internal podcast that saves you a bunch of time by not having to get people on a WebEx or a Zoom every month. And you could have a podcast for external communications. If you have a coaching business, maybe you have an internal podcast feed just for your coaching clients or your students. And you might want to have multiple shows if you're collaborating across different projects. So at one point, I was the host of 3 different shows, one that was just mine, one that was mine and a friend's, where we talked about the WordPress space because we were both involved in WordPress at the time, and my local show, which is me and 2 other people in my county interviewing other businesses in our county. So you don't want to shove all of those shows under the umbrella of one podcast if it doesn't make sense. So having multiple podcasts solves that problem. Now, you could be thinking, Joe, having multiple podcasts is pretty expensive, right? And if you don't have the right podcast management platform or partner, yes, it can be expensive. Some charge you per show. Most charge you per number of downloads across all of your shows. And if you want to launch multiple shows, that can get pretty problematic. But at RSS.com, we are focused on the podcaster, and we want to make your lives as easy as possible. So we have multiple plans here, but one is the Podcast Networks plan. So for less than $20 a month, you can host multiple podcasts. You get unlimited podcasts, unlimited episodes, unlimited audio, and all of the amazing features that come with our all-in-one podcasting plan. So episode transcripts, cross-platform analytics, the ability to monetize. If your show is big enough and you're getting a lot of traffic, you can even have dynamic ad insertion and a whole bunch of other things. So if you want to have multiple podcasts, then RSS.com is the best partner for you because we allow you to launch as many podcasts as you like affordably. We're not going to charge you per show or by number of downloads. So if you do want to host multiple podcasts with RSS.com, how do you do it? Well, let's take a look at our dashboard. So here you can see I have the Podcast Networks account. I have one show currently. If I want to add a new show, I would click on the arrow next to my podcast's name and click new podcast. This is going to ask me if I want to start a new show. I can add a new one. So I have podcast workflows live. Maybe I can do podcast workflows chats. And this could be live streams from podcast workflows. I have a guest talking about how to improve your podcast systems and how. Okay, so we have our description. Let's upload our artwork. All right, podcast workflow chats. All right, and the public website and feed looks good here. So let's click next. We'll pick categories, and I'm going to categorize this under education. And we'll make education the primary category as well. Author name, Joe Casabona, RSS.com evangelist, and then copyright. We can leave that off for now. We'll click next. And now we have a brand new podcast, and both of our shows that we own are listed here under the owned tab. So once that is done, you have a podcast network. If we go to public website, it'll show what we have for our show so far. And then the same thing if we go to podcast workflows live, we can go to the public website and see what we have there. Now, one great feature we do support here at RSS.com is the Podroll feature, which means that we can easily recommend other shows on our show's website. So if I go to settings and scroll down to Podroll recommendations, they will be visible again on our website at rss.com, also in any apps that support Podroll. So this is a great way to link all of your podcasts together and capture listeners from one show to get them to listen to other shows. And the way you do that is to click add recommendation. Then I will type in podcast workflows live, and I will add that show. And now it is recommended in my Podroll, which, as we said, will be on the public website. So if you click recommendations, your Podroll recommendations will show up here. So that's it for this video. We went over why you might want to have multiple podcasts, the various use cases, which you can see here as a refresher. Maybe you have multiple shows under one brand, a new podcast on a different topic, different audiences, or you're collaborating with multiple people across different projects. And then we talked about how RSS.com can help you out and be a true partner to your podcast network with our affordable podcast networks plan. Now, if you have any questions about managing multiple podcasts, your workflows, how to spend your time, feel free to leave a comment on this video. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button and subscribe to this channel. My name's Joe Casabona. I'm the evangelist here at RSS.com. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you out there.